Hi guys. So really quickly, because I really don't have time, I was looking back at all my videos and I was like, oh my god, oh my god, I look insane. Like, what? But whatever, because it's my personality, and I am all over the place like that sometimes when we're having like really in-depth discussions. It is what I was feeling. It was a roller coaster of emotions that I was going through. It was me trying to make sense of something that was causing me pain. Um, it was me being open, honest, and real, which I don't think we have enough of in the world. And I could clearly see why. You know? But yeah, so I just wanted to let you guys know I did look over my videos and I looked back and I was just like, I'm so happy my mom's not watching this because she would be so mad at me. But just really quick spiritual knowledge that keeps coming into my life and conversations I keep having with people. Um, the last thing that somebody told me is they said that I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the Atlanteans and the Lemurians. I'm working at the same time, so I'm going to be like clicking on and off, but you'll see me. The Atlanteans and the Lemurians and that whole story and what's going on with that. So basically, the Atlanteans were on the Atlantic side and the Lemurians were on the Pacific side, and they both had islands in the middle of the ocean. Um, that were self-sufficient. I really don't know much about the Atlanteans. I know more about the Lemurians, and basically they had like different tiers and levels, which almost reminds me of Dante's Inferno but reversed. And the animals and the humans coexisted and they communicated with each other. And the plants were all like hydrotherapy, so it was just they were born out of water, but they had really they were very nutritious, so they gave you everything that you needed. They were in a very advanced civilization, and the Lemurians believed that humanity should evolve on its own through time and whatnot. And then the Atlanteans believed that humans were like not not important, but they should be taken over and they need to be conquered and they need to be um, controlled, right? And then it's interesting because I actually just sent an article to my friends about like they call the original races, which I think this one was edited because there's just things about it. I'm going to put the link to that on the bottom. And they were talking about like the Carians, which are like the bird people. You know, they're all spiritual beings. They're ethereal, but when they took form on Earth or took form where we could see them, they became like these things. So the Carians became like the birds, the lion people, which was interesting because that's when I saw Kanye West's video the first time that it was like on the MTV thing, and at the end they had lion faces. I was like, because I knew exactly what it meant. I learned it when I was 17 from a group of people who taught me about Egyptology, and they were telling me about the lion people and learn your origins, and they told me about Tainos because I'm Dominican, and they said Tainos are both Dominican and Puerto Rican, and we were once one culture that traded and whatever, and then we got separated, and it was very interesting that time. I was 17, you know, and all I was every day I went there to learn. Such a knowledge seeker, and it just reminded me, like the moment I saw it, I reverted back to that because a lot of what I've learned then is coming back now, and a lot of the lessons that I learned that have saved me in different situations were because of what I learned then. And I was like, I knew immediately that Kanye West was referring to the lion people, you know. So then they're the Carians or the lion or the feline, the lion people. Then the Carians created the reptiles, and the reptiles and the Carians kind of merged and became the Draconians. And the reptiles were given, and they everybody, and then the lion people created the humans, and that the Carians created this mythology, like this lie or this basis story that they gave the reptile people, saying that you can control anybody you want, you can go anywhere you want, you can take over, which is basically like the I don't know about the Rothschilds because I don't really know them that well, but you know, like the Koch brothers, you know, the Rothschilds, the Koch brothers, you know, those the Build-A-Bears, like those big families, they're all said to be related to the reptile family. The lady that I just worked with, I believe from the moment I met her, I was like, you're a reptile, like you were not even human. Like I just felt it in my soul and my gut. I couldn't even work for her anymore. Just the way she looked, and she was a sweet woman. She was a good woman. I'm not saying she was terrible. I don't think anybody's really, I mean, some people are bad, but there's just something off. And she's always sucking this stick, you know, like the vape vape things. And I just kept thinking, like, I don't feel like the things that are in there really are nicotine, or maybe they are, maybe that's what they need to survive. I don't know. But it just felt like it was her food. It was like her air. Like she couldn't breathe without taking, a breath of that. And I don't know, I just felt like maybe they created these things and then they put their own things in there so that they can survive on this planet. I don't know. I know. I hear myself and I'm like, what are you saying? But I'm just going to say it. So we were talking about these 4 races, and I sent my friends this article. And so basically I believe, after like learning a lot about the thought process, that maybe the Lumerians were descendants of like the reptile or the draconians, and no, sorry, the Atlanteans were descendants of the reptiles and the draconians, and the Lumerians were more like the humans and the feline family. Anyway, they were at war with each other, so they created like this nuclear version of a war, and they both knew they were going to sink, which is the sinking of Atlantis, which caused the flood in the Bible, right? So the Lumerians knew that this was going to happen. They both knew, and they both created their ways of escaping. So the Lumerians went underground. I don't know what happened to the Draconians. I don't know if they went underwater, if they went underground, but supposedly there's underwater cities, which I totally believe, because they always talk about USOs, like unidentified submerged objects, which are spaceships that go underwater, especially in China. If you look this up, I'm not making this stuff up. Like, it's all over. You can find. I found this information, so I'm just sharing it with you. I'm not coming up with any of this. So they have like these USOs that go underwater into these underwater cities. So I don't know if that's the remnants of the people that used to live here before the flood, or the people that used to live here before the dinosaur age, which were supposedly the dinosaurs were the creations of the draconians and the reptiles, and then, the meteor came and blew it up, and that was their way of letting humans come and take over. So they talk about that this is the third Earth. There's 3 Earths. There's the first Earth, which has the original Carians and the felines. Then there's a second Earth where the draconians came in, which was like a dinosaur age, medieval times, with reptiles with wings and dragons and blah blah blah. And then there's the third Earth, which is the one that we live in, which is the Earth with the humans, are here. Now, I don't know if you would call that first, second, and third dimensions. Apparently there's multiple dimensions, and that's a whole nother video, which I'm not going to get into. But basically they had these 4 original races, basically. And they're probably going to be more, because we're messing with DNA, whatever. Now, the difference between the Carians, because they came from ethereal beings, and the felines, is that the reptiles, I believe the reptiles might have had DNA, or is it the humans that had DNA? I know the humans were born with soul, like they put souls in us. So what makes us different from everything else is that we have souls, right? And be very protective of your soul, because everybody wants a piece of it. And that's as much as I know, because I'm just getting into this again. I mean, I learned a lot when I was younger, like a lot. And it's in there, but it has to be re-triggered, I guess. Or I have to look at my notes, because I wrote everything down. I've been keeping a journal since I was like 7. My mom gave me a journal, and I've just been keeping journals ever since. So I have to go back and like look at what I wrote, because I used to document everything. I stopped in the last few years, which I really should, but that's because I've been video documenting it. But I think I should, because if the internet went down or electricity went down or whatever, then there'd be no proof, right? And that was another thing that I was thinking about. Like, you can put all this stuff on like a USB, a hard drive. You could put this in a book, but if whoever comes after us finds it, if they don't know how to read our language, like hieroglyphics and stuff, they're not going to get the message. If they don't have a CD player or a DVD player or a computer, they're not going to know how to read it. Like, they were talking about like the crystals. I don't know if you've ever heard the crystals. Like, you saw Superman, right? Best example. The crystals that he used, those are real crystals. They sell them on the internet. They're called Tibetan crystals, and they have other ones that are called like knowledge crystals. And basically, if you put them in the right vehicle, then you can get the knowledge that's from there. But again, we don't have that. So I'm sure that there's some cave somewhere where you can get that information. Some people say you just hold on to it, and with some meditation and practice, you'll be able to get the knowledge from that crystal, and you'll be able to put your knowledge into the crystal. So that, like, if you ever heard of the crystal skulls and all this, and the crystals have a lot of power, and the crystal skulls supposedly are alive, and they communicate with each other, and they give each other power. So there was crystal skulls in the Mayan and Aztec temples, and there were also crystal skulls in the Egyptian temples, and they were so far apart. How is it that they both had crystal skulls? And I'm sure they found some crystal skulls in Europe too. So it was a way for all of these civilizations that came here and formed to communicate with each other. But then if you go back to all of those civilizations, they all had gods that had animal figures. So they would have like the head in Egypt, they had the head of the jackal. And they had, you know, almost every culture has like an animal head, which makes you wonder if the original gods, the ones that we talk about, the Carians, the reptiles, the draconians, the humans, the felines, if they came here like angels, wings with birds, you know, birds with wings or humans with wings, it's the merger of the two. Does that make sense? So when you learn all of it and you look back at history, you see how it all fits together, and you're like, oh wow, it does kind of make sense. If you know the little bits and pieces, you kind of see how like there was a timeline and there is a possibility that this was real, or it could just be stories that they're telling us and trying to feed us and confuse us because they don't want us to know the truth. I learned a long time ago, and it made sense to me, that tomb raiders raided tombs to get information and knowledge, you know, and the treasures and the gold were just like a ruse. But what they really were looking for were the knowledge. So like the Freemasons, the Crusaders from, you know, like the Crusades, the Skull and Bones, like all these secret societies, whatever's in the Vatican, which is what the Vatican was doing with the Crusades, was getting this information and then putting it all in the Vatican. It was the acquisition of information and jewels and land and territory and, you know, the things that make the world go round. But they know the truth. They know the magic. They know the real history. A lot of people don't know that the Bible was rewritten several times. That's why there's the King James Bible, because he rewrote it. So whoever got their hands on the Bible edited it, changed it, took out chapters, changed things. So the Bible that we have now is not the original version of the Bible. And if you actually look at it, it's actually the history of Egyptian history, the Yoruba tribe, and some other cultures that are the story of Jesus and Mary and a bunch of other things. And I'm not even going to get into that. Do your own research, because I'm probably pissing off a lot of people right now. But the source of the Bible and a lot of the stories in it come from other cultures thousands of years older than the Bible. So it's like they compiled all these stories and they changed them to make one religion, which is, I think, was meant to be like the universal religion to combine everybody. But then it turned into the white religion with the white Jesus. And then Jesus became the figure of the religion, as opposed to just compiling everything and sharing that knowledge with the world. My version of it, again, just, you know, but just look it up. There's a lots of information on that. What else? So there was a purpose in me telling you about the Carians, whatever. Oh, I'm going to put that link on there. I'm going to see if I can find something on the Yoruba tribe. But I prefer people do their own research. Like, I'm not the source of anything. I'm not the source. I can just tell you what I believe and what my personal truths are that I came here with. And you see that in my videos. I'm just here to give you information so that you can do your research, so that you can make your decision of what it is that you want to believe in or you don't want to believe in. I believe the truth sets you free. And if you're told something, you're going to believe it. But if you find out information that's the truth, or that version, you know, like somebody tells you, then your belief system will change. So, for example, like the movie Wanted with Angelina Jolie, I always say that. They told him that this guy killed his father and that he has to kill him. He's the only one that can kill him. Then he finds out at the end of the movie that that guy was his father, that they were training him to kill his father because he's the only person that was able to kill his father. So he believed, based on what he was brought up with and taught, that this person was an enemy, when in reality it was his father. What is the truth? The truth is it was his father. That's the truth. But he didn't have that information. He had whatever information he was given when he was younger. Will we ever know the truth? I don't know. All I know is you need to follow what you feel and what your gut is. I'm just I'm a knowledge seeker, so I acquire information and then I make my own decisions. I choose what I choose to believe in. I choose how I want to treat people. I choose who I want to surround myself with. Same thing with you guys. But I believe that it's best to make decisions based on the truth and not a lie. Like, I met a lot of women in my life that have told me, if my husband's cheating on me, I don't want to know. And that freaking pisses me off because I'm a different person. I'm like, I want to know, because I should be with a man, in my opinion, that chooses to be with me above all other women. They've already chosen to let all of that go and just be with me. And then if in that relationship we decide to be swingers or a threesome, you know, or a polyamorous or have an open marriage or whatever, that's our decision between the two of us, because we've chosen to have a future and a life together. It's our choice. You know what I mean? And it's our decision. And it's our decision based on what our relationship has developed into. Now, I personally believe that you should be one man, one woman, and everything else is an experience, but you never know. You know, we both might fall in love with a third person and want to bring that third person in, or a fourth person. Or I don't think that's going to happen based on what I believe in now. But you never know. You know, you never say never because you never know. You know, in seeing that this exists, I mean, I really still just believe in one man, one woman, and then you work together to create a family, and then that family, you know, carry your legacy on and you pass it on generation for generation. I try my best to live a good life because I believe in karma. I believe in karma energy, and I believe that my energy and my blessings come from the good that my family has done, and then I choose to be good and do good and spread love and, you know, as much as I can, because I want my children to benefit from that. If I can't give them anything, if I don't live to see them, I'm 37. If I have kids, I mean, I think I'm going to live to be 90, maybe 100, just because it's like in my genes and because of the karma that I have and the blessings that I've been giving. So I will see my kids and my grandkids, you know, if I have kids in the next 3 to 7 years, I guess. I believe they're going to be healthy. I don't care what anybody says about your eggs getting old. Like, I don't believe that stuff. And I think that I'm going to be blessed that way. But if I'm not, they have these videos, and that karma that I've reaped, that I've sowed, they're going to reap, you know, and I know my kids are going to be blessed and loved and taken care of, so I'm not worried about that. Anyway, random subject. But I just wanted to share with you all this stuff. I mean, I knew everything that I told you right now, I knew back when I was 17. I knew a long time ago. Like, this was 20 years ago. You know, that I've been holding on to this information. I talked to a few people about, but then they're just like, some people are like, yes, and some people are like, it's really weird, Myra, but I'm just gonna hang out with you because you're a lot of fun and I like you. And I'm like, all right, you know, go drink, you know, because you're gonna just deal with the situation that you have. But right now, I just feel like I should be sharing it. And then it's funny because I looked at all my other videos and I was like, oh my god, Myra, oh my god. And now I did this video and I'm gonna be like, oh my god, Myra. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go now. Bye.